Welcome here on Checkered Flag Interactive. We are live at Martinsville for some late night short track action. We've got Steve Bonesteel, Shane Doherty up in the booth. Drivers are now heading down onto the grid, and we are ready for 250 laps here for this beautiful little short track. And it's a fun place to race, and it's late night. Tempers might flare, things are going to heat up, and it's going to be a great race here tonight. Welcome to Checkered Flag Interactive. And now that these drivers are down on the grid, we'll take a moment, run through who's where and where is whom. And they are behind the Mustang pace car, and I'll turn it over to Shane, and you can run through the starting order here.
Yeah, absolutely. On the pole for tonight's event is the number 46 of Dylan Rafferty, and he is going to be joined on the front row by the number 1 of Jeff Ramsdell. Starting third tonight will be Chad Lane, and to his outside, Bob Beltrami. Starting fifth tonight is Rob Gall, and to his outside, Michael Shibznopski. Starting seventh tonight is Dennis Fusen, and to his outside, Chris Beck. Ijan Marco Zabelio will start ninth, and to his outside, Mark Sweeney. 11th, Rusty Arthur. 12th, Greg Youngu. 13th is going to be Mike McAllister. 14th, Brian Barnes. And I believe we are going to have a couple cars that did not qualify start the race, and that will be Jeff Graham and Dan Stussy.
And like you said, Shane, it looks like it's going to be a fun race for sure. A lot of drivers out here that are pretty solid, and right now I'm really thinking that we're going to have a very long period of green flag runs here. I was watching these guys in practice, and they're pretty solid here at Martinsville.
Yeah, and as long as you can hit your braking points correctly, the car really isn't that hard to drive until you get off the corner. Later in the run, you don't want to use up those rear tires. That's when the car can become a handful and ultimately can end your night as in terms of being fast on the track. It's who can manage their tires the greatest here at Martinsville. It usually ends up in victory lane at the end of the day.
And here as the pace car pulls in, we wait for the 46 to take off, and the green flag is out here at Martinsville. Lap 1 has begun.
Yeah, good start for Dylan Rafferty. Caught Jeff Ramsdell sleeping there as Jeff barely able to slide into the second spot there as Chad Lang put up a decent challenge into the turn number 1 and 2, but Dylan Rafferty out front early.
And the field is immediately getting down into that bottom lane. Nobody really wanting to take the chance to get 2 or 3 wide. You get stuck up on that high side, you will not make any headway. So the field immediately already getting single file here early on.
Yeah, easily starting to see a huge speed gap develop as Dylan Rafferty, Jeff Ramsdell, and it looks like Chad Lang are starting to separate themselves from the rest of the field. As the field, as you said, Steve, overall strung out, pretty evenly spaced, and these guys are going to try and log some laps here early as we have 250 laps to get through.
Looking at this battle right now, the number 31, Rob Gall, going to the inside of the 14 there, going into turns 1 and 2. Looks like the 31 should be able to get it going here as he makes the easy pass on that inside. The 14 gets a little bit loose off the corner, going to hold up those guys behind him.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually going to be challenged again, and he's going to slide up a little bit there as he is going to be passed by the 69 of Michael Shibznopski, and they are side by side into turn number 1.
Yep, now that the 69's on his inside, he will be going on by, and the 14 seeming to be letting these drivers by because, like you said, Shane, it is a long race, so he's probably not in too much of a hurry here, and definitely lots of time to make a comeback. And like you said, there's a big speed gap up towards the front. Dylan Rafferty a second ahead of Jeff Ramsdell, and Jeff Ramsdell is a second ahead of Chad Lang here early on. Only 6 laps into this race, though. Big group of cars right here.
Yeah, the funny thing is that Chad Lane's a second ahead of Rob Gall, and then Rob Gall is a second and a half ahead of Michael Szyznowski. So these guys all starting to evenly space each other out, and starting to see the guys who are bringing it early near the front.
And it looks like that number 14, he has slid into line in front of that number 11 there. And he looks to be pretty steady where he is. He seems to be happy there, falling into line, like I said, down on that bottom lane. You really just cannot really do much on that outside. If you're going to be able to do anything, you're going to have to really pinch. You're going to have to work for it really hard. And early on, that's not something you want to do. But I'm looking here, that number 11, he's running into these corners pretty dang hard, and he's almost getting to the back of that number 14.
Yeah, definitely. These guys just starting to feel out the optimal braking point that they think they have into the corner. You don't want to use up those brakes early, but definitely you can use this first run to just gauge what you can do coming into the corner and what you can't do with the car. You don't want to spin out and wreck yourself. That's definitely not something you want to do this early in the race, but you want to get a feel for the car and see exactly what your limits are, to where if you need those later in the race, that you know what they are.
And there on your screen, looking at the number 27, Ian Marco's got the number 4 Barnes, and that number 4 is looking to be catching the 27 for a little while there. He was really diving into the corners and really rolling through the center, which was actually getting him close to that bumper. And there it looks like the number 4 rolls to the center pretty good right there in that WD-40 number 4. And he's coming up on Ian there in that number 27. And it looks like we might have a battle towards the rear of this pack here pretty soon for that spot. But as we take a look up towards where Rob Gall was, he has made his way about 2 seconds away from that number 69. He's broken into that top 10, and now he's worked his way up to that top 5, and he's definitely working his way towards Chad Lang, who is falling off the pace just a little bit here, and looks like Rob Gall is starting to reel him in for that 3rd place and maybe get up there and challenge for 2nd with Jeff Ramsdell.
Yeah, it's interesting because we got Dylan Rafferty in his own zip code. He's actually getting ready to get in some lap traffic. Believe it or not, in the 15 laps into the race, he's already catching the back half of the field. That's just the kind of pace that Dylan Rafferty is setting right now. He's got a 2-second lead on Jeff Ramsdell and then a 4.5-second lead on Chad Lang. I mean, he is setting an early pace that I don't think I've ever seen here at Martinsville. Just complete, utter domination.
Dylan Rafferty has actually caught the tail end of this field now, and he's got some lap down traffic. He's going to be working around that number 07s right there in front of him. A little bit of front end damage on him as well, so looks like he's already used that chrome horn, maybe incidentally here, as he's going to let Dylan Rafferty down around his inside. Number 46 will make that pass pretty easily there, and you can really see where he's gaining most of his ground is off that corner. He's rolling through the center very well and just nailing it off the corner and driving these guys a little bit harder a little bit early on. Again, only 17 laps into this race, but Dylan Rafferty has led every single one, and like you said, Shane, he is in his own zip code right now.
Yeah, and you can see some common courtesy there from Mike McAllister. He pulls off, lets Dylan by early in the race, understands he's going to get lapped. He just lets the leader have it. No point in fighting it or causing a wreck. That's a good show of sportsmanship there for Mike McAllister. He does go a lap down, though, and is currently running in the 14th spot.
Would like to remind you guys you are watching the Western States Racing League here on Checkered Flag Interactive. This is their racing action here at Martinsville, and pretty good race planned ahead of 250 laps total here. Late night short track racing, lots of action left. I got a feeling we might see some beating, some banging, and anything in between. I'm pretty sure the majority of the cars out here will not walk away with clean fenders. So we're going to take a moment, step back, fix a quick setting on our broadcast, and we will be right back on Checkered Flag Interactive. Do not go away. There's plenty more action here at Martinsville Head.